Chess, cherished by many, finds its home both in the grand arenas of professionals and the lively streets where enthusiasts gather. In today's video, we embark on an intriguing journey into the world of chess hustlers and their surprising encounters with seasoned chess grandmasters in public settings. It's a fascinating scenario where the skills and strategies of these casual street players can sometimes catch even the most experienced masters off guard, leading to memorable chess showdowns that celebrate the diverse beauty of the game. In this episode, our spotlight falls on the extraordinary Hikaru Nakamura, a name that resonates powerfully in the world of chess. This American chess prodigy turned grandmaster has not only achieved extraordinary success in the game, but has also left an indelible mark on the global chess community. Known for his aggressive and innovative playing style, Nakamura's moves on the chessboard have consistently dazzled audiences and perplexed opponents. From his early days as a rising star to becoming one of the most recognized and respected chess players on the planet, Nakamura's journey has been nothing short of remarkable. His ability to adapt to diverse playing conditions, whether in classical, rapid, or blitz formats, has made him a force to be reckoned with in all settings. Today, we present two extraordinary instances where Hikaru Nakamura departed from the traditional tournament settings to engage in riveting encounters with two remarkable casual players in public spaces. These encounters reveal the unexpected twists and turns that can unfold when the realms of chess grandmasters and street players intersect. So, let's delve into these captivating narratives and witness the enchantment that arises when chess masters and hustlers cross paths. The first encounter unfolded in South Africa, where Hikaru Nakamura boldly took on a pair of local chess talents. The atmosphere was electric, so much so that Nakamura even put down some money on the line when facing one of these spirited players. Playing with the white pieces, Hikaru's opponent initiated the game with a pawn move to d4, met by Hikaru's swift response with a pawn to d5. His opponent countered with a pawn to c4, opting for the queen's gambit opening. The early exchange of pawns in the center of the board set the stage for a standard strategy, developing pieces and securing the king's position. While Hikaru chose the conventional kingside castling, his opponent ventured to castle on the opposite side of the board. This decision promised a thrilling mutual attack and ensured an engaging contest. Hikaru advanced his knight to a6 and his rook to c8, signaling his intent to march towards the white king. Meanwhile, his adversary initiated the assault with pawn moves h3 and g4. The pace of their moves hinted at a bullet-time control game. In response, Hikaru decided to surprise his opponent with a seemingly unconventional yet cunning move, pawn to c5. This sacrifice of a b-pawn was a strategic maneuver aimed at opening up the b-file to exert increased pressure on the white pieces. The South African player embraced the sacrifice and captured the b5 pawn, while Hikaru executed his plan masterfully by doubling both the rook and the queen on the b-file, putting pressure on the b2 pawn. The game progressed with several exchanges, and during this process, Hikaru expertly dismantled the white army's pawn structure. This strategic finesse allowed him to subsequently capture both the f5 and h3 pawns. With a two-pawn advantage and Hikaru's reputation as one of the world's finest chess players, it seemed like the end was near for the player with the black pieces. However, to everyone's surprise, the black player continued to defend admirably and make sound moves. Hikaru, meanwhile, kept maneuvering his forces in a bid to checkmate his opponent. The South African player, on the other hand, opted to exchange more pieces to lessen the threats. As time ticked away for both players, they eventually entered the endgame stage, with Hikaru holding an advantageous 3-pawn lead. Leveraging his rapid chess skills, Hikaru, playing with the black pieces, converted his material advantage into victory by employing a straightforward strategy. He advanced all his pawns, brought his king closer to the action, and successfully promoted one of his pawns to a queen. This newly crowned queen then went on to capture the white rook before delivering a checkmate. Hikaru's ability to execute these maneuvers within the tight time control was nothing short of impressive, earning him cheers from the onlookers. Credit also goes to his opponent, who put up a valiant defense and played commendable moves throughout the game. Now, let's delve into the second case, which unfolded in the serene backdrop of Spain. Unlike the intense atmosphere of the previous game, this encounter had an air of calm confidence surrounding it. Hikaru's opponent, a Spanish player with the white pieces, appeared poised and self-assured. The game kicked off with the Spanish player's pawn move to e4. In response, Hikaru opted for the Sicilian defense, choosing to play his pawn to c5. It's worth noting that the Sicilian defense is a favored choice among grandmasters when they face opponents with lower ratings. White, seeking an open game, ventured into the open variation by moving the knight to f3, followed by pawn advances to d4 and the other knight to c3. Meanwhile, Black embarked on the complex Najdorf variation, initiating with pawn moves to d6 and a6. Both players diligently developed their forces, each adhering to a distinct strategy. White's plan involved expanding on the king's side, orchestrating a pawn storm with moves like g4 and f4. In contrast, Black focused on creating counterplay on the opposite flank, applying substantial pressure and threats to the c-file. Everything proceeded quite normally, and both players were following their intended strategies. However, a pivotal moment arose when White played the f-pawn to f5. Nakamura responded with a fascinating twist. Firstly, he executed the pawn to e5, launching an attack on the white knight stationed at d4. After this knight retreated to f3, Nakamura unleashed a captivating move that completely transformed the position. He decided to sacrifice his rook and capture the knight on c3. In response, White recaptured with a b2 pawn. In different circumstances, Black's last move might be perceived as suboptimal. However, in this specific situation, it possessed its own strategic rationale. Nakamura's sacrifice was a clever ploy, as it wreaked havoc on White's pawn structure. Additionally, the Black Knights emerged as potent and menacing forces within White's territory. Hikaru, after a series of maneuvers, managed to seize the e4 and c4 pawns, offering him substantial compensation and steering him towards a winning position. Yet, in this fast-paced realm of blitz chess, victory was far from assured for the Black side. Hikaru opted for a5, launching an assault on the white bishop. In response, his opponent cunningly captured the c4 pawn. The underlying strategy was evident. When Black recaptured the bishop, White could reply with the pawn capture, leaving the knight pinned, immobilized, and unable to escape. This posed the initial conundrum for Black in this game. At this critical moment, instead of the potentially stronger knight to d2, which would have simultaneously threatened the rook and queen, Hikaru made his first misstep, choosing to castle instead. The Spanish player capitalized on this with b5, exerting additional pressure on the immobilized knight at a5. Following a queen exchange, the player with the white pieces continued to string together optimal moves. The rook ventured to a7, targeting the bishop on b7. Hikaru found himself grappling with challenges in this position. Rather than preserving his winning chances by protecting the bishop with the rook on b8, securing coordination, Hikaru misjudged the situation and played knight to c5. This move allowed White to renew the assault on the other knight, with the rook relocating to c3. Suddenly, the Black pieces appeared disjointed. Hikaru had to block the diagonal against the white bishop by advancing his d-pawn to d5. In response, the Spanish player deftly activated his knight, advancing it to d3 and subsequently capturing the Black knight on c5. At this stage, Hikaru recaptured the knight with his bishop, simultaneously targeting the rook on a7. Despite Hikaru's time advantage, the Spanish player astutely conjured a brilliant move. He sacrificed one rook to claim the bishop on b7. As Hikaru reclaimed the rook, his opponent executed yet another rook sacrifice, seizing the knight on c4. A sequence of brilliant moves unfolded. The subsequent moves enabled White to salvage the position, transitioning it from a lost state to an even one. However, the Spanish player still had to demonstrate his ability to hold firm against one of the world's premier players and secure a draw. The question loomed, how would this engrossing game conclude? Regrettably for the Spanish player, Hikaru harnessed his in-game expertise, methodically advancing his king toward the white pawns. With finesse, he snatched one of the white pawns, ultimately tipping the evaluation in favor of the Black side. The game continued for a few more moves until Hikaru clinched victory when his opponent ran out of time. The match was a riveting clash between two formidable players. Even Hikaru himself stood impressed by the quality of his opponent's play, to the extent that he inquired about the player's rating once the game concluded. What an interesting game!